All right, Kev, let's go roll.
All right, so we got Principles by Ray Dalio. Um,
Amazing.
he's a legend on Wall Street, but also in business, and he shares
hmm
some good lessons and insights. So you picked one. What does that say? Read it.
Real quick, Kev, for the viewers, is he the richest man on earth? Do you know, or is it like top 10? Let's.
Um,
What do you think?
no,
I'm just
no, no.
curious.
I think he's a billionaire, but he's not.
He's worth 14 billion. He's worth more money than
Yeah.
Jamie Dimon. Okay, but that's good though.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. So the
I'm just
difference
saying.
between him and he's worth more than Jimmy. I'd say the difference between him and somebody else is he runs a private company, right?
Yep.
Generally speaking, these really
hmm
rich folks like Musk,
hmm
usually they're public
hmm
companies because the company
Right.
expands, takes off. On the private, generally it's a little bit you know, they're running it like it's a small business, but this guy's doing big things. Um, yeah. So
I
what was
like
the
it.
quote? Go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the quotes that you put, I know you read the book, right? Is from this book, Principles, Life and Work. The happiest people discover their own nature and match their life to it. This is the truest thing I've ever read. I mean, this is at my age, bro. After everything, this is it, right? Right? This is it. This is what it comes down to. Correct? It does, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Right. This is
happiest
it.
people discover their
Their
own
own
nature
nature,
and match their life to it.
right? It's everything,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
I think that's about understanding yourself and where you fit in, what type of person you are,
where you
right?
fit in.
Your
Yep.
interests, hobbies, what you're gonna do. So a lot of what he says is about not just business but life, right? Understanding certain things. Um, so one quote that I chose is, and there's like two. He's got a lot of good ones. Treat your life like a game.
Mm.
And, we mentioned before, sometimes, you're playing a video game that's life, and you got to just break through that simulation. Whatever that is, you're stuck on a level, you got to just charge through, to get out of it, to get that escape velocity, right? If you're a company, if you're
hmm
business, is to get through. So, Um, I like that one. Another one, to make money in the markets, we'll talk about the markets for a second. You have to think independently and be humble. And I think this applies to life, not just the markets, but you gotta think, you gotta be unattached sometimes, right?
hmm
And be able to view things, especially in this day and age with media and everything, view things independently from your own view, looking in, right?
hmm
Doesn't mean you have to express it. A lot of times people conform to opinions, right?
hmm
Like we've seen with this election is someone might not say who they're supporting, but it's still your opinion, right? You might not come out and say it, but it's still yours. So think independent and be humble. Things happen, mistakes. Don't think that they're not going to, because they're going to in everything, right?
hmm
That's a thing that's certain is things will happen regardless. If you think they won't, they will, right?
They will 10 times.
Yeah.
If you think they
In
won't, they're
in
gonna happen 10 times.
yeah, in relationships and in business is relationships, but just in everything. That's why trust is so important. If it's a little bit um, a little bit damaged or whatever, when that challenge happens, it's out the window, In business, I'm talking about, but I guess that applies to life, anything. So it's important, to be humble. And all right, so here's one last one. If you don't own gold, you don't know history or economics.
That's what he
And this
says.
is,
Wow. Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Whoa.
Dalio, he's a supporter of gold, but again, I think most people that understand the economy and markets are, right? Certain folks are called gold bugs, where
hmm
they like it, they're always talking about it and always like it. There's a few hedge fund guys like that. Um, so basically, it's a good quote
Yeah.
because
Can
it's
you see it on the
all
screen?
about
If
Mhm.
you don't hold gold, you know neither history nor economics. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow. One
yeah,
sentence. Yeah,
yeah.
go on. Go on, go on.
And there's a few other, like I said, hedge fund guys, as big as Dalio that, support it and speak about it a lot. The interesting thing, you know, is they're starting to embrace Bitcoin as well. And it's the same principle, supply, demand. So gold is only a certain amount in circulation and you need it for things, you need it for manufacturing. People want to hold on to it. It holds value. It's a store of value.
Hmm.
So that's why it has value. It's doing very well right now. It's almost 2,500. It's around there. Um, and I think that has to do with the money printing the last few years, COVID. You know, one thing I'll throw out there is there
Mm.
is a lot of tungsten in the gold supply that people don't account for.
What does that mean?
Uh, means
Tungsten.
fake gold, meaning
Oh, okay,
meaning
okay, okay.
we
Whoa.
don't know the exact supply of gold
Okay,
because
got it. Oh,
in
whoa.
that manufacturing there is a good amount of tungsten. We don't know that exact level, but I think it's bigger than people think. And the only way you know that you have a gold bar that is a legitimate gold bar, right, is if you melt
Mm-hmm.
it down. You melt it down.
Mm.
Most people don't do that. So, um, and there's a book, Saphir Dean. It's a very good. It's called the Gold Standard. I
Mm-hmm.
believe it's called Bitcoin. The Bitcoin Standard. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he talks about this, and he mentions that the amount of gold in the banking industry, at the London
Mm-hmm.
Bank, right,
Yep.
floating around. There's a good amount of tungsten in that supply.
Yeah.
So you don't
Yo,
know the exact amount.
Kev, that is very profound and explosive because look what can you see the screen? Look what pops up. I didn't know this till just now. I had no idea. You just said you get
Read
in
it.
high end counterfeits. A tungsten bar is put into a hollow cavity in a real gold bar. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's indistinguishable unless you melted it down, right? You have a certificate, and certain places, I'm sure, certain banks that you get it from are good, but you ever see like those channels, like those
Yeah.
infomercials?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
I would never go through one of those
Wow.
because it's not the same. You're not going through, when you're going through just a party that's saying, hey, we think this is, some of them say like plated or whatnot, but the point is, um, gold's valuable and it's supply demand. We don't know exactly the amount of supply, but it's still very valuable because it's needed and it's a store of value. So I don't want to
I mean
knock
not
it by that,
I mean not only
but but
that,
but
I
it,
mean
it's a thing that should be considered.
no, I mean, Kev, I mean, isn't it? Because I know that gold was used in the Apollo missions on the spacecraft because it is the best conductor of
Yeah,
electricity. You know what I mean? So, like, it has, like,
you need it.
I
It's got
heard,
manufacturing value.
well, I heard, like, it's the best better than copper. Like, it's like
Yeah,
next level, like, you know, what I mean, they used it on a spaceship. But, Kev,
I think
before
it's
we go,
used in more things. I think it's used in more things. Silver's used in a lot as well, but um,
but silver's not a
in
conductor of electricity. It's not. It's
industrial
just not.
industrial use, uh, gold is the most. Now, copper, there's a
Mm-hmm.
need for copper now in the future because of electric vehicles. The
Mm-hmm.
batteries, you need
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
copper.
Yeah.
So copper is gonna, hold a lot of value as well. But there's something about gold where Americans, especially the generation, that is now older, they thought of gold as safety. I don't necessarily think today's buyer of gold is doing it for
Mm-hmm.
that reason anymore. I think they're
Okay.
doing it because they understand it and it's working. It's doing well. So I don't think is. It's more of store of value. I think it's got a inflation protection, but
It does, yeah.
um, yeah. So gold.
Wow.
That's his
So
quote. That's his quote.
Kev, check this out. Just real quick. Back in 2019, there was an article. It's crazy you brought this up. Are there gold bars filled with tungsten at major banks? Wow, I didn't even know
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
And in
and there are.
Forbes, and they are. And you know
There
you're in the
are, there
game.
are. There's no way for them to check every bar unless they melted it down. They're not going to do that. So,
Are you
there's,
serious?
yes,
Hold on,
yes,
you're
there's
serious? There's
definitely
no way to. The only way to check is you have to melt it down.
to be 100% correct.
Wow.
So,
Oh my
so
God,
it,
Kev.
but it's
Are you,
going to be in there, and I think they know that, they, it's accounted for, but that's why you'll never know the exact amount of supply. I
look
think
what
less
Forbes wrote.
people.
Yeah, look what Forbes wrote. The drilled gold bars filled with tungsten. Kev, I didn't know this was a serious. Are you
Yeah.
kidding? I mean, there's no other way. So you tell like you have to melt it down. Damn, Kev.
Correct.
Wow.
Now there's certificate and there's certain about more reputable, right, sellers, but
Wow.
um, I just think that it's something to take into account. Um, you know, with gold as
Wow.
a investment, meaning this does exist, but so I would argue, let's just
Mm-hmm.
say,
Mm-hmm.
let's just say
Yep.
that there is more tungsten in existence than we think,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah,
That
okay.
that would actually make the price of gold higher
Much higher. Right. Much higher.
because there's less of it. Okay, if there's less than we expect, vice versa.
Absolutely.
So, but
Kev, I mean
it's
this is
definitely a
this is
factor.
Kev, this is profound that you're bringing up. You bring attention to this. Look, I didn't know this. Right, it's explosive to me. Kev, if you can see the screen, look what Reuters wrote. Check this out. In 2019, Kev, gold bars fraudulently stamped with the logos of major refineries are being inserted into the global market to launder smuggled or illegal gold. Refining and banking executives told Reuters. The fakes are hard to detect, making them an ideal fund runner for narcotic dealers or warlords. Look at this fake branded gold bars slip into world markets.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I
This
mean,
has been reported by
listen,
Reuters.
listen.
I
The
didn't
same
know this, Kev.
apply. Well, the same applies with money currency. There's going to be some fake, $20 bills that get into the money circulation, right?
Yeah, but you
But
can. But there's a
eventually,
pen. But there's a pen, Kev.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
hey,
Not
brother, like you
everyone
can like.
uses it. Not everyone uses
True,
it.
true, true. But
But
I know that
but
like you know, I mean, that's very
yeah,
easy to tell because you're telling me
yeah.
when it comes
It's
to
it's
gold.
rare. It's rare. It's rare
Yeah,
because when
you're
it goes
telling
to
me
the
when it comes.
banks, yeah,
Right, Kev, you're telling me when it comes to gold, I have to melt down that gold bar. Like that's nobody's gonna do
yeah,
that. They're not gonna get a
yeah.
specialist to do that.
So I think they have like certain checks where they could be, you know,
Oh
uh,
my god.
they could have a good idea, but for it to be 100%, that's what you have to do.
Oh man, Kev. I mean,
And this
Kev.
comes from
Oh
the
my
book.
Kev, look at this, Kev. I mean, it's good to bring attention. Look at this. 4 days ago. Look at this from ABC News. If you can see the screen, right? Gold bar scam sweeping Wisconsin. Oh my God, Kev. Look at this. 50 million New York Post. 50 million of gold bars slipped into global markets. Wow, I didn't know that tungsten. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
That's just.
And look, you got to just do your homework. I mean, also, you know, with anything, right? You gotta do your homework and understand.
I know, but
People, if you're watching an infomercial at 2 o'clock and you see some stupid thing, yeah, don't go for it. If it's too good to be true, the same things apply to everything. So I don't, anyway,
yeah, but
moving on. Bitcoin,
okay.
Bitcoin
Yeah.
has value that I think is the next generation's gold. The younger guy
Mm-hmm.
coming up, right? How old's your
Yeah.
brother?
30 today. Yeah.
He's 30. All right, so he's a little bit older. But the guy, the 21-year-old right now, their savings
Yep.
account is
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin.
Yep.
So in the future, I don't think that it's far-fetched for Bitcoin to surpass half the market cap of gold in the next maybe 5 years. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
gold's 17 trillion. Bitcoin is
Yep.
2 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking, maybe a 4x, 4.5x to reach half the price of gold. I think that's likely. Over the next 5 years, there's a good chance that if it continues to scale the way it is,
Mm-hmm.
It's the same metrics, supply demand. Now you're going to
Right,
push
but
back and say, how do we know the supply is
no,
21
but
million?
Kev, I mean, you brought up a very, salient point. I mean, at least with Bitcoin, there's no real way you can fake it. You know what I mean? You can look
Yeah,
it up
yeah.
on the blockchain.
I
You're
like
telling
it.
me you're
You're
telling me
taking
with
a bull
gold.
case. Yep.
Well, the thing about gold,
Yeah.
man, you're telling me that as a bank, right? Say I'm like a mid eastern bank, right? I'm not a member FDIC, but I work with them, and a client comes in with bars, and I take it in, and they're tungsten. I mean, there's no way for
Here's
me to
another.
detect. I'm
Here,
that's
here's another. I'll piggyback on that. Here's another pro of Bitcoin
mm,
versus gold. Meaning it's interchangeable. It's easier to move. So
yeah, yeah,
if I wanted to
yeah,
send you uh $500 worth of Bitcoin, very easy,
hmm
right?
yep,
If I
yep,
wanted to send you $500 worth of gold bars, not so easy. You got to take a truck, or you got to drive it. It's a
yeah.
pain in the ass.
You
So,
got
so
higher security, right? To
transferability,
drive the truck,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
to drive.
And if
Wow,
you and
wow.
if you inflate the price, it's even harder. $10,000 worth, that's hard to move of gold. Meaning, you need now a box truck. And with Bitcoin, it's digital. That's the future. You're taking out the third party, and it's peer to peer, right? And that's it. So that's the big benefit, but it's still the
And there's
whole
no
supply demand.
counterfeit Bitcoin. I know there's no like you
Correct.
can't like
Correct.
that's unbelievable. Tungsten. Oh my
Correct.
god, Kev. That's
Correct.
so I'm writing it down. That's crazy.
So so
Tungsten.
let's talk about some of those recent hires by Trump.
Oh
Pull
yeah.
up.
Before we go
Pull
to
up.
that, Kev. Before I will, Kev.
Okay.
Before we go to that, you want to this last quote? I pulled up on the screen.
Yeah. Sure.
I find this confounded. Look at this from Ray Dalio. The more you think you know, the more closed minded you'll be. I don't understand that. Like, well, you know what I mean? What does that really mean? I'm intrigued to know what that means. I know it's something really important, but he's saying the
Means
more you think you know, the more closed minded you'll be. I thought it's the opposite, right?
yeah.
You'll be right.
No, it
So what are
means
you?
be humble. Be humble, meaning don't think you know everything because you're going to be
Oh,
stubborn.
okay,
Whereas if
okay,
you're
okay.
more
Oh,
open-minded,
I see. Yeah, okay, I
you're
see.
more
Okay,
likely
yeah,
to adapt, you know?
I see. I see. I see. I see. I see.
So,
Okay.
so, you know, and he's applying probably that to the markets, but also life, be
Yeah, he's
open-minded.
like the best, right? He's like he beats the market, right? Yeah, I know, right? Like, and
He's
he's
been
been
around a while. He's got a big hedge fund. I don't know his exact returns, but
mhm.
he's, he's somebody that is thinking longer term and he's thinking wide, and he's built a good sized firm. So all right, so let's go to Trump's hires. Pull them up.
I'm pulling him up. I just want to let you know one of the hires is a Howard Lutnick, and he's like the CEO of where of Cantor Fitzgerald, right? That's right. That's one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm here pulling it up. Let's see. Where do I put up as a screen?
So
Can you see the screen?
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, you just pull up a
Yeah.
picture of
Okay.
him, whatever. We'll go through it. All
Okay.
right. So recently he hired made a
Okay.
few
Right here. Yep.
hires. I
Hmm.
think a lot of these he picked himself. They have him all over it. Um,
I don't. I don't see that. I think he was given a list. I mean, they all share a
given a
freaking
list, given a
you know.
list, but he's got a say in it. You think someone's choosing the names on a list? No. So
I think
here's a
I don't know.
here's a few things that are in common. All
Hmm.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
Linda McMahon. He chooses her
Yep.
for head of education.
Education.
He
Yeah.
chooses Matt Gates. Now he might step down, right?
No, he already stepped down
He already
as of
stepped
two
down.
hours
Okay.
ago. He's out the running.
Okay.
Yeah, he's no longer there. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Now Hegseth,
Hmm.
right?
Fox
The
News
guy in
guy and a combat
Scandal.
warden. Yep.
Scandal comes out. All these three names, and there's others that have some sort of a scandal, right, of sexual harassment or something like that. Um, so I think we'll get back to that point, but I think it points out to a bigger issue of that's currently exists, and it's happening. We've seen it in the media. We talked about it before, but it's a real thing. Three people that we just named, all and one's on the other side of it, but
Mm-hmm.
and some of them are serious. But are there any others controversial that point out to you?
Not right now. I mean, not that I see. Right.
Okay.
I mean,
And
I mean, I
I didn't
do
go
see.
through them all.
I mean, Kev. No, I mean, Kev. Listen, RFK. Right. I know he's an
RFK is
environmental
another
lawyer.
one. There you go, another
Yeah,
one
but
involved in
yeah, but he should.
controversy.
He should be. Yeah, because Kev. I mean, if you think about it, what is he? I'm writing this down. What do you think? I mean, he's an environmental lawyer, right? Granted, he's smart, right? But he should be the head of EPA as an environmental lawyer. The Health and Human Services is supposed to be a medical doctor. I mean, they need to have foundation.
Hey,
The fundamentals.
don't say anything about you know what, because
I'm
we don't
not.
want to have to take
I'm
it
not.
down.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm just saying. That's all
Because
I gotta say. But
YouTube censorship is strong
it's real.
nowadays.
So I want to segue into Rumble then, Kev. Let's talk about
All right.
Rumble. What do you think about Rumble? Because it's a lot of censorship. Because this is what somebody said. This is what is on the internet, right? Because Trump is doing all this, and they pretty much, Trump pretty much has a. Put it like this: Trump's cabinet picks indicate that this is not an America First agenda. It's just not, because Project 2025 was America. Remember, politics is personnel. Personnel is politics. The people you put in the 10,000 jobs in the bureaucracy, right, every year that switches over from president to president, the personnel there, their views, it matters because they are able to interpret and execute and enforce the laws and the policy. All remember, they all bring the policy options to him, and then he picks one out of five. So personnel is politics, which is a bar, I would say. My point to you is that I think we can agree that this is not America First. But regardless of that, my question to you is the way this looks like a regular, Republican Party, but you know what I mean, Mitt Romney Republican Party. I mean, this is what's looks very obvious. But another thing is that the Democrats might increase the censorship, right?
Yeah.
Because of Trump, right? That looks like what they're doing, right?
No.
So right now,
I
no, you
mean,
don't think
let's
so?
talk about that. We'll touch on it, but you said a lot before that,
Okay,
so let's talk about
yeah,
Rumble. And Rumble
yeah.
is good. Rumble's good because that's the
Hmm.
solution to all of this. What are we talking about? We're talking
Right
about
now,
cancer culture,
censorship. Yeah, censorship.
censorship, and
Yeah.
cancel culture. So Rumble is a solution because you have more options. Check, and we'll talk about if that's going to be more or not. But check out this what Dana White said recently. He said the only
Okay.
people that can
Hmm.
cancel you is your family
Hmm.
and your friends. Fuck everyone
Let's see.
else. He said that on Joe Rogan's podcast. And
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Dana White censorship quote. Yeah, but I mean, it's really more platforms, right?
platforms.
I
But
think.
people, it's
Yeah, I mean.
both. It's both. Both. It's people and platforms, right? Businesses, when a
Yeah.
CEO gets removed, that's a cancel too.
Mm.
You telling me Ye didn't get canceled because
Oh, he
he
got
lashed
canceled
out?
hard,
Yeah.
hard, and he
Now
just brought. You
he
know, you
might
know
have
what he
asked
did,
for
right?
it.
Yeah, but you
He
know
might
what he
have
did though.
asked for
All
it.
he did was point out the obvious, which is crazy. That's all he did.
And
He was,
correct.
he wasn't canceled for lying, right? He was
Yeah.
canceled for bringing a sensitive subject. Well, I don't believe it's going to be sensitive in the next generations, but right
He
now,
knew what he was
you
going to
know,
get. Here's why.
you think so? You
Adidas.
think so? You think
Yeah, yeah,
you think
well,
he
listen,
knew ahead of
he
time?
wanted out. He wanted
Well,
out, and he attacked
okay, okay.
Jewish culture. Adidas has a history of being run by Nazis. They were started by Nazis,
It
right?
was, it was,
So
it
that
was, it was,
yeah,
it
so
was.
for when he makes that comment, you're
But
now
all he did was right.
opening skeletons in the closet. So they're going to react to
Yeah,
that. So he probably knew that
yeah.
was going to happen. But the point is it happens on platform level, but it also happens businesses, individuals. That's just part of it. It's all together. But um, really, what you're doing is you're diluting
Hmm.
somebody, right?
Okay.
You're diluting somebody, whatever that is, their content, whatever, by throwing stuff at them or silencing them.
Doxing or doxing,
Doc, yeah, throwing
right? You
stuff
got
on the
people go,
internet or
right.
or silence is another form where just taking them off the platform. So there's different ways, but
So they
these
can't
are
make money,
yeah,
right?
exactly. That's money is one. You hurt their image. You go after fear, right? Fear
Mm-hmm.
is the biggest. But this is a cultural shift that's happening. That's happened over many years, and I think it starts with
Mm-hmm.
movements.
Yep.
With movement. So something has to happen over years for it to happen. Now, what's the biggest one happening right now in the cancel
What do you mean?
culture? What are they going after? What's sensitive? Political, but even more granular. We just talked about it. It's the sexual harassment stuff, right? Is sensitive right now. Now we have to take both sides, so we're very sensitive to the victims, but some of it also may be someone trying to cancel someone. So it goes back to the
I would
Me
say,
Too movement.
I would say most of it.
Yeah, yeah. I
that's
mean,
what it looks like,
yeah,
right?
I think a lot of it.
Yeah,
But where
a
does it
lot of it,
come
right? That's
from?
what I'm saying.
Where does it come from? The Me Too movement happened, and everyone had sympathy. This happened over a few
Yeah.
yees, and then you have
Mm-hmm.
equal pay, and then you have all these
Mm-hmm.
things that hit people's emotions. They're now more sensitive for something. Then you have division and doubts or so. So it
Yep.
happens over a period, and I think we're seeing the back end of it now. In the 80s,
Oh, I see.
90s, yeah, we're seeing the back end.
Oh,
So
you're saying we're seeing the back end. Okay, got it. I see what
this
you're saying. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah,
the seed
makes
was
sense.
planted a long time ago, and now we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing
Yep.
the end result. Think about the 80s and 90s. It was racism. You had Rodney King. You had civil. Before that, you
O.J.
had
Simpson trial.
O.J.
Remember
Simpson.
the O.J.
Yeah,
Simpson trial?
yeah,
Real quick, let me just tell you about the O.J. Simpson time. Remember they did the documentary? They went to
right.
like 9 out of the 12 jurors, right? Do you know what these jurors did? They said, yeah, we did this because they let the police officers off of the Rodney, what was his name? Rodney,
Right. So
his
they had
last name?
oppression. They had oppression. So
Yeah. So the
from
verdict for O.J. Simpson, no, but the verdict for O.J. Simpson was a referendum, just like the
yeah,
election
yeah.
was. That's what
How
the
to
jurors
do
said.
it?
They said
How to do it
yeah,
before? So
yeah,
so that's and then it goes back to the Civil War. So it's always oppression, and then it's these things build up, right? And
yeah,
what you
and
do is the media adds to it, and you're shaping
mm-hmm,
narrative,
yep,
maybe organically, but over time these things occur, and then after that, someone says a racist comment, does something out in public, that's a huge no-no, and that was for a long time. I think now,
and communism.
it's
Remember, Kev?
lesser.
Remember,
Before that was
remember
yeah,
back in
before that,
communism.
and that was
Remember,
probably
like
after the Cold War. That was after probably the Cold
right.
War, where
No, no, no. After
which
World War II, remember? After World War II, if you were labeled a communist, it was like you were labeled a racist today. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's pretty much
yeah.
how it was.
Yeah,
You know, that's
and
what
that
people say.
that develops over events and over time, and they soften up, and then you go through these cycles. So, and people know how to exploit that. Platforms, businesses, they know how to
Yeah,
exploit these things, and that's
yeah.
what's happening.
I mean, also political party. Kev, so on
Political
that
parties
topic,
too, exactly.
yeah, yeah. So, Kev, on that topic, did you hear about what happened right after the election? Did you hear about these texts? The black. So someone sent from a VoIP, right, to basically all people, black kids, right, students or whatever, that their cell phones, pretty much, you've been selected to pick cotton at the nearest plantation, some racist shit. It was sent like the day after the election to many people, black kids only. I mean, what do you think? You think, I mean, like, this is, do you see the
And
screen?
that could have
This
been a
is hilarious.
prank. That could have been a
I
prank.
mean,
I'm
I,
not
I
sure,
mean, yeah, Kev,
but
Kev, I would say it was a prank, but when it's received by this many, it was received by like 8,000 students already, black students. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
A prank would be a couple of hundred, but 8,000, they got the list. I mean, Kev, I mean, this is why you gotta love America. It's so funny. I mean, I thought
yeah.
it was a joke
Who
prank too,
knows?
but you know, you've been selected to pick cotton at the
Yeah,
nearest
maybe they're
plantation
trying.
starting.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, maybe they're trying to excite something
Exactly. Yeah, right.
Harris just lost, right? So you're trying to excite things.
Right,
These things
right,
happen,
right.
guys. Listen, this is, and we'll get to it later, but this has to do with the environment we're in. That we have weak system right now, and you get these little things that excite things, and the people responsible, it's so petty that they don't
Mm-hmm.
care. They keep doing it, right? You have something called
Yeah.
agent provocateurs, which right now there's no strong laws to keep people behind bars if they do something. So they all become one. I mean, it's
I
and
mean, but this is pretty provocative. So, Kev, this is what you would say is this was agent provocateur, right? Sending these texts
who
to eight
knows? Who
thousand.
knows?
I mean, it's
Who
just
knows? But my point is when you don't have strong laws, you don't have a
mm-hmm,
strong border, and you don't have support in the community, right, to help, like,
mm-hmm,
mental, people, on these outreach programs. When you don't have these things, I mean, you get these are and you get these type of events,
mm,
and so you gotta
got it.
have. Otherwise, you get vigilantes. If you don't have strong
Mm-hmm.
laws, you get everyone. Just it doesn't work, right? So I think you
Yeah.
eventually get a reset, meaning uh,
Oh, I see what you're saying. A
Trump
reset. Oh,
brings
that's
in,
interesting. Oh, I see what you're
yeah,
saying. A
yeah,
reset. Yeah,
where
yeah, 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 yeah,
where
yeah.
you get a shift.
Inter.
Maybe the National Guard goes into some of these areas, but anyway, so with all of this, right? Um, I spoke to somebody that is, this guy is respected in the intelligence space. Used to be a detective,
Mm-hmm,
and he
mm-hmm.
said something that
Okay.
that resonated.
Talk,
He
talk to
said,
me.
"Listen, with somebody like that, people don't live 40 and 50 years or 60 years or whatever, and then suddenly just become like a madman. It's rare.
Yep.
Meaning the ones that do these things, they do them more than once. It's not just meaning it's usually repeated, right? It's like
Mm-hmm,
you see the same thing over and over, and it's well documented. So when you get somebody like running for office, and all of a sudden a scandal comes out, this guy never
mm-hmm.
did anything for 50 years, and then all of a sudden a scandal, you know, a lot of times that is what's looked at, meaning you call bullshit, right? Um,
Well,
so
yeah.
yeah, it's it could be looked into, all of it, right? You run a
Yeah.
background check, you can see if somebody had 10 different things that happened over 25-year period. Okay, that's that guy, but for
Now
the
you're
most
bringing it up.
part,
Right. You're bringing
yeah.
it up now.
No. My
Right.
point
Yeah.
is usually people don't do something once. It's repeated, repeated,
Mm.
repeated. So
Habit.
there's usually
It's a habit.
there's usually a history of it. So when the cancel culture goes out and just goes after someone randomly about the hot topic or whatever it is, that usually shows, right? And it's not anybody's fault. It's just not against women. This is against just sort of usually a third party, or culture, right? Because it's not the
Mm-hmm.
person. It's never, it's usually others. So that's all I'll say. But anyway, in terms of what else are we talking about? In terms of all right. So what do you think about? We were talking about the system. By
Mm-hmm.
the way, you're talking about Jewish people. You know what Kanye said? He
Mm-hmm.
said Catholics and Christians, they didn't want to divorce people in the church.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what group of lawyers made a lot of money doing that? Built wealth?
Mm.
The Jewish people.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep. Yep.
when he said that, that was like a trigger. Like,
Mm.
he was
Because,
attacking
but
Jews,
Kev, I mean,
and then he
I
kept
mean,
adding to it.
yeah, but
But
Kev, what he said was not
what he said
false.
is that yeah, it's probably true,
It's
right?
not false. It's true.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I
yeah.
thought we had
So
freedom of speech, Kev. I thought I
yeah,
could say whatever, you could say whatever. Why is it
yeah,
that we can't say? You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
it's it's
And
it's something.
I think
You know.
that's what it comes down to: freedom of speech. freedom of privacy. These things, every so often you go through these different cycles, and they gotta be, like I said, reiterated. So, but it comes down to the system. So think about the borders, right? A lot of
Hmm.
crimes,
Yeah.
illegals. You need strong borders. So he's gonna
Hmm.
do that. And I think you also need, we probably have.
Well, apparently,
Go ahead.
with the borders, right? So look, this is the stats if you research it, right? So 10 million people came in the last 4 years alone, right? There's about 80,000 violent criminals. Apparently, on the All In podcast, David Sachs was like, yeah, we don't believe Trump is gonna. Apparently, Silicon Valley, Kev, they want to keep the immigrants with the H-1B visas. So this is not going to be, you know, you know what I mean. It's just going to be a
So you're
selective
right.
part, right?
So some of these crimes, it was just in the paper that, some of them are coming on visas, and because they're not going through
Yeah.
the system how they should be, they're not well
Hmm.
documented like they should be, and they get away with some of
Right.
the stuff. So, um, it's an issue where, like you said, it might be some of these big companies want it because it's convenient for
Right.
them. It's easier to hire. Here's why:
See.
you got to pay 10 grand or 20 grand to get somebody a permanent one, right? If you wanted to bring them
Yeah.
in or to renew it, it's cost
Yeah.
money. I'm not sure
And a
about the exact
permanent one
amount,
has
but I know
rights.
it's
And a
correct.
permanent one has rights, right? You
Yeah.
have rights. You can sue for employment
So
discrimination, for being denied advancement opportunities. I handle this law. I'm telling
so
you, it's a
let's
whole
say
law. You know, it's a
let's
whole
say
like
uh let's let's say an intern or a worker comes over from London, right? Starts working in the banking
or
system.
India.
Yeah.
Well, India, India.
All
Let's
right.
use India. They more
Well,
people from
we're
there.
applying this to the banking system. So
Oh, okay,
London is more
okay.
common. I actually, this is somebody that did this, right? and
Mm-hmm.
came over from London to work, and he had a 2 year, 3 year visa. When that was up, now the company could turn around and put in for, an extension, or to try to get him permanent, where he works for the
Mm-hmm.
company, he's a value, but it costs money. It's not cheap. I think it was
No,
like,
you're right.
10 to 20 grand for that to maybe for the lawyer work and all this stuff. So companies probably would rather what you said. Um,
Yeah, they're talking about stapling visas to job applications. I mean, this is what, big tech, their Silicon Valley, it looks like they want, and this is upsetting a faction. Remember, Trump's movement, there's a significant portion of what they call MAGA, right? Which is pretty much America first. No wars, no foreign government influence, over here first. I'm with that. I agree with that. You know what I mean? I think you do. Everybody does. You know what I mean? No globalist intervention. We're strong together. We are. I mean, if you think about it, Kev, I mean, you know, the idea, somebody brought this up, which makes so much sense. You tell me what you think. Listen, man, America is not threatened by anything. The idea that it's threatened by a backwards Muslim country, America's in between two major oceans, badass military, and a nuclear arsenal. Nobody is a threat to us. And Kev, if you look at it like that, that is the truth. I mean, that is, if you think about
yeah,
where
but
we
it's
are,
it's not about that. When you are the
I
bigger
know,
power, hold on. When you are the
I
big
know.
power, you got more responsibility. Now you got to watch other things, and so so,
Yeah, but you
so
don't gotta.
you know
Yeah, but you don't gotta want other things at the expense of your
of
home
yours.
country.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
that's
And
my
I think
that's my only point.
I
That's my point.
listen. If you look at the Russia-Ukraine situation, we probably should have
All of that.
not got involved, because what we did is we're prolonging it, and you know Putin's now put his name on this thing. So you don't want to put him into a corner, because guess what?
No,
He does have nuclear weapons, and he
right.
could escalate it. So
And we got,
why,
and let's be honest, Kev. I mean, military experts out of the government have been, debating this for the 2 years. I mean, Putin just says no NATO to a neighboring country. I mean, we could have accommodated that. No, what it is, as it's always been, there's always a group, like you said, a Machiavellian group that makes money off of this. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't make
And
any money, Kev.
listen,
I mean,
Putin's not getting his way. If you look at NATO, another country just joined, right?
Mhm.
Um, so
But
I
remember,
think,
Kev, NATO was created to combat the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union fell in 1991. There's no Trump was right about this. Remember back in 2015? Why the hell are we spending billions of dollars to NATO for European countries? We got people suffering here. I agree with that. You know what I mean? We don't need a NATO. He's not a Soviet Union anymore.
because
I mean,
we're just it's costing us a lot of money, and there's always going to be
and the
some
Machiavellian group,
conflicts.
right? And
There's
the
always going to be some
Machiavellian group.
conflicts.
Remember what
And
George Washington said?
and
We even
listen,
taught this.
listen.
No foreign
You know
intervention.
what they do? You know what they do?
Tell me.
Russia, has
Hmm.
is known for their intelligence, right? What's
Yeah,
intelligence?
yeah. That's
Stealing
all it is.
secrets, getting
That's what
information,
intelligence is, right? Yeah, isn't that
getting information.
intelligence
Yeah,
is? Right, that's all it is, right?
yeah,
Stealing secrets. Yeah, that's all
that's
it
it.
is.
Compromising people, blackmail, getting information. I mean,
That's
they are
intelligence too.
known.
That's
So
intelligence.
yeah. So it's the application of military technology. These are
That's what it
things
is.
that Russia is known for. Stalin started sort of this, and he wanted to destroy the U.S. and
He
started
wanted to destroy
disinformation.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
but
wanted to destroy everyone. He was a bad dude, Kev. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
so disinformation campaigns he'd do, and he'd figured the U.S. they're so ethnically divided that it would be easy.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
what he underestimated was people's love for the
The
country
resolve. Yeah, the resolve
and
back then.
unification, right? People being able to get together, and
I mean,
they were focused on their
and
lives.
I
They
mean,
weren't trying to fight each other.
so Kev, real quick on
That's what
Stalin,
they
right?
do. That's
You're
what they
right.
do. They start proxy wars, and they try to get you against
Right.
each other, these civil wars. And that's
But
what he was
so
trying to do to the U.S.
no. But you know why NATO was created? Because Stalin was trying to take over Europe first. Remember, remember Russia's right next to Europe. In like 8 hours from Russia, you can get to France. It's not that far. You know what I mean geographically, right? So he was trying. So that's why they created NATO to help the European countries, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Like an attack
Yep.
on one European country is an attack on all of us, right? But Stalin, like you said, bro, he could never come take the U.S. We're in the middle of two big oceans.
Yep.
If you think about it, you know what I mean. So, but anyway, Stalin's been dead for 65 years. It's over. We don't need it. And my thing is, Kev, is like, yo, come on, man. Put the money here, man. You know what I mean?
But listen,
why? Trump was right about that. He was
how
right.
Putin,
I agree.
how Putin, we're spending all this money on NATO. Meanwhile, Putin's got these mercenary groups like Wagner Group running around,
But Wagner's
using
not part
some
of
of
it. Yeah,
this.
but
It's
Wagner's not
not
part of
part
it.
of
Remember?
it. Yeah. It's not part of it. But a lot of people say that some of that is, they make it look that way, where they were like against each other because, and they went after that guy. But the same tactics are used that was used by Stalin. It's disinformation, it's hatred. They're doing all dirty tricks. It's basically. Um,
Yeah, you know what? That's what. See, here's the thing. That's what the media told me. I want to, like when I deal with these Russians, I see these Russians. They're just hardworking people. Like I don't know, Kev. You might be right, but my point is this: what did George Washington say? No foreign entanglements. Why can't we just keep to that shit? You know what I mean? And deal with have a defense. That's it. Like why we gotta keep over here and over here and over here? Kev, man, yo, listen,
hold
bro.
on.
Kev,
Did he really use that word? Is
Yeah,
that the word he
George
used?
Washington. Yeah, no
That's the
foreign
same.
entanglement. That would look.
That's the same word that
Yeah.
Will Smith used. You know,
When did Will Smith use that? Hold on. What are you talking about?
he used that word with his wife.
Will Smith?
Entanglement. That's a
Oh,
good word.
entanglement. Oh, yeah, Jada Pinkett.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jada
So,
Pinkett.
so
Okay,
listen.
but look.
I don't want to go off
Yeah, look
topic.
at this. No foreign entanglements. George Washington.
Yeah.
So.
So while we're on the intelligence topic, right? I seen something that they were talking about this information, right? Here's the thing. In this day and age, and we're talking about at the business level or at the big level, you have to bat 1,000 because all they do is they have to be right one time, and they exploit that. And you got to bat a
Yep.
thousand every single time, you know. It's they only had to be
I
right
agree.
once. So, and if they don't, they'll make it up. But here's what they said: is